All right, what we're going to go through today is some tips for you guys on building a team structure for a remote team. I'm going to walk you guys through some ideas for your meeting cadence, meeting with that team each week, goal tracking to keep up with your team, generating a good team energy, and then at the end, I'm going to touch on some of the tools that we use here at Victoriam that can help you manage your team as well. All right, so some ideas for building the team. The first thing I like to point out here is that you need to always have a number two, or maybe a few number twos even, especially for busy team leads and people like us who are client facing. You need to make sure that you have other people who can be available to your team for guidance. And then also, if you're going to have to miss these key team meetings that you're going to have and stuff like that, it's good to have other people who can step in and be prepared to lead those team meetings. When you have a remote team, it's really key to keep those meetings because it's the time that those people know they can check in and get that engagement with the rest of their team. So you don't want to be canceling those or moving them around too much. So be prepared with somebody else to help lead the team and step in on those calls. The next thing that I like to include is a blend of experience levels. It's really great if you can have some really senior people and maybe some younger people. It benefits both sides because the younger people have somebody to look up to with those senior people sharing their experiences with the team. And then those more senior people have the junior resources that they can engage with and mentor. Also recommend keeping your teams small or smaller. Once you get more than 8 people, it's really hard to have these meetings where you're running through all of your tasks. They end up just being long and you start losing people. If you keep it at 8 or less, it gives everybody a chance to speak and kind of have their moment without you spending all day on the phone. And then the next thing I like to point out here is that you might need to tweak your hiring process a little bit for remote employees. One thing that we've done that we've been really successful with is introduce some evaluations through our interview process. So we have people complete what we call a tech assessment and present that back to some of our team members as a step in the interview cycle. You want to make sure to look out for characteristics like them being a self-starter and having the ability to ask for help. I think a lot of people do this, but if somebody comes to an interview and doesn't have any questions about how the company works and stuff like that, those are just signs that they may be people who are not really comfortable asking questions and pushing and keeping a conversation going over the phone or remote. And it's really important that they have those characteristics to be successful. And then the last thing is just making sure that you are having a conversation with them during the interview cycle about how they see themselves being a remote employee, making sure that their environment is set up for them to be successful there. They kind of, have a home office situation and still have some, friend engagement and stuff like that, so that they don't. A lot of people think that they are successful working from home. So we kind of try to look out for different keys and characteristics about them that may make that true or not. I think it's going to be really interesting with this time now that most people have worked from home. A lot of people will know really if they're successful at it or not and if they like it or not. So that is one, one benefit out of this maybe. All right, so next going through the recommended meeting cadence. This is what we've seen work pretty well. Recommend doing a team level set. That's when you set your expectations for the week. So with a remote team, you're not seeing people every day. It's really important to make sure everybody knows what their priorities are and what you're expecting them to get done. I recommend doing these on a Monday afternoon every week. Fridays, it kind of seems like it would be a good idea to do Fridays so that people can prepare for the following week, but we found that usually people are kind of tired and checking out and in weekend mode already on Friday. If you wait until Monday, it's still early enough in the week to adjust anything that you might need to. And it's kind of that time everybody's in the mindset of getting their week going anyways. So Monday afternoons seems to work really well. We also recommend having some collaboration time available for your team. So that would be some set time every week where your team can get together to discuss ideas, solutions, any problems they're stuck on, and stuff like that. For us as consultants, we were doing a bi-weekly solution hour. So anything on a project that somebody wanted to throw ideas around for, they would bring it to that call, and everybody was prepared to give them some ideas and some feedback. We think this is really important because when you're remote, you can't just walk over to someone's desk or talk at the water cooler or anything like that. So this really facilitates that time for problem solving and teamwork without people being nervous about bothering you while you're in a meeting or taking up time on your calendar. We also do monthly lunch and learns. And this gives people a chance to showcase their work and really shine kind of in front of the company. And then it also promotes learning as well. And then the last thing on here, you just want to make sure that you're keeping up and that you're diligent with your one-on-ones. I know that's just a management best practice, but super important for remote employees to make sure no one's on an island, that you have that good engagement with your employees. All right, so just a little bit more about that team level set, because this really has been the key to some of my most successful teams. The first thing that we do, or the main thing that we do in this meeting, is run through each team member's expectations. What you're looking for is whether the workload they have is realistic, and if not, how can we as a team potentially help get it done? You want to kind of coach them into knowing what they can and can't do within a week as well. We also use that time for load balancing. So that's redistributing work from people who are way too busy to people who may not be as busy that week. It's kind of sharing in the wealth. It keeps your whole team busy instead of killing one person. And then another really important factor to this is running that meeting out of your primary system. So for us, that would be Salesforce. And we use a resource planner so that each resource can see what projects they're on and how many hours we're expecting them to dedicate to that project. And we would run through what tasks are going to make up that amount of time to see if that was really, if we were going to really meet that target or not. If you're running a sales team, other things that you could look at running from Salesforce would be the tasks by their due date and opportunity close dates. You can pull up list views or reports to look at those for each team member as well. So here are just a few snapshots of metrics that you could use to drive targets. These are in a recent blog post of ours, so we'll share a link to this blog post so you can see more details about it. But like I mentioned, having the tasks that could be worked, and then for sales, something like a pipeline, so you can get towards that revenue target for them. All right. So setting that expectation up front, getting that data in the system is key. But then you also need to make sure that that you're looking at the end result and making sure that people are actually getting it done. So doing that through goal tracking, you want to make sure that you're setting really clear goals, both for an individual and for your team. And it's good to reinforce those goals during your team level sets every week, and then also reflect them in dashboards. You want to be setting metrics out there so that you can see if expectations are met or not. So obviously there are goals around like quotas and things like that, but if you're just using these numbers to manage a team, a few other things that you could look at are things like utilization. We look at estimates versus actual. So how much work did we think they were going to get done and how much did they really get done? And things that you can look at for sales are how many activities were actually completed, how many tasks moved to overdue, or opportunity close dates pushing out, and then how much new business and closed business got entered into the system. And that just, want to make sure to point out there that that is still different than kind of some of their overall goals and targets, maybe for the month or for the quarter. These are just things you can look at week to week to make sure that people are getting done the work that you're expecting them to do. And then for a remote team, it's really, really important that you make goal attainment public. publishing that through dashboards and things, because when you can't physically see how hard somebody is working, you have to make sure that that hard work is visible through analytics. And so here's just some dashboard examples. Again, this first one is from that blog post that we'll share. And I also included a snapshot of what a utilization dashboard could look like. We're looking at hours and things like that for consulting, but if you're managing a service or sales team, you could set a utilization target based on the number of activities or cases or things like that that you think they should be able to handle or close within a week. And then do these same kind of utilization percentages based off of that. We also have a webinar where we go into some more kind of reporting and metric building. So we'll share that as well in the follow-up after this webinar. All right, and team spirit. This can be kind of one of the hard parts about having a remote team, is making sure that they still feel this. But it's really, really important that you almost overemphasize it because of that. So I've talked about the goal attainment a lot, but talk about it as your team. I think one of the good ways to talk about your goal attainment is to be a little bit competitive. If you have multiple teams that have similar targets, maybe introduce a little bit of competition there. I know my team, we were usually on the top for our utilization percentages, so we like to always kind of brag on that. And it keeps the team focused on what that goal is and working hard towards that. You also want to make sure that you're congratulatory, giving public shout outs, and then also talking your team up to leaders. We post our shout outs in a Slack channel. They get a ton of attention, which is great. And we also, talking people up to leaders, I think, is something really common, but again, when they're remote and these leaders don't get to have in-office interaction with these people, you need to make sure that you're speaking for them sometimes. And then the next thing is letting people take ownership. So as a manager, sometimes it's easy to just run everything, but if you can start giving work out to your team and letting people own something, it's a great way for them to get their voice out, which is really important as a remote employee. So, showing that there's something strategic that they're working on and that they're the go-to person for it can really help show their importance to the company. And then the last thing on here is just to lead by example. So I've said multiple times through here that, system tracking and goal tracking in a system is important. It's also super important that your employees are then seeing you as a team lead held to those similar standards, that they can see that your goal attainment is also out there in public and how hard you're working. All right, and then just make it fun. Try to make all your team meetings and everything like that fun. Ways you can do that are just joking with each other. I like to pick on a lady named Karen on my team who we all love to death, and she's just kind of easy to poke fun at, and we all get a good laugh, and she feels special at the same time. You also want to make sure that you're checking in on things that matter outside of work. So, maybe those first few minutes that your team calls are getting started up, or that your project calls are getting started up, you can spend a few minutes talking, about everything else going on in their life. This is really important because you don't have those moments in the elevator or in the cafeteria or something that in-office employees have. So trying to use those minutes when you're remote are really helpful. And then it's also good as a lead, but then also just as any team member, to help establish connections between teammates, because they may have never had an opportunity to meet, might not be on similar projects, and you could have a best friend or somebody working at the company. So if you see people who you think have similar interests, it's good to try to connect them, get them started in a conversation about it. Or you can do things like we've done where we create Slack channels. We have a fur babies Slack channel where everybody shares pictures and stories about their pets, and it's probably one of the most active channels we have, and just, it's a really good place to still feel like you know your team really well, even though we're remote. All right, so I'm going to run through our tools really quickly. I've mentioned a few of these as I went. So Salesforce is the main thing that we use, and we have a package included in our Salesforce org called Financial Force, where we do our resource management. We also live on Slack. We communicate in different channels for our projects. We also have channels based on interest and teams and things like that. We use Jira for our task management. We use Zoom for our meeting platform, and then we also have an intranet site hosted on Google, where we have that kind of key company information, HR type stuff, just documentation that people might need. So, and this kind of list of tools are things that we've refined over the years that we've found work best for our remote team. We started remote, so we tried different things like Google Chat and stuff like that, and really this is kind of where we've landed on what's most successful for us. All right. So that's everything that I had for today.
On behalf of Victoriam Solutions and our presenter, we thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great day.